welcome back to my channel. My name is Julia Johnson, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you all of my newborn essentials. These are things that I have deemed as must-have items. It's not going to be diapers and wipes and bottles and all the stuff that you guys already know are the real essentials. These are things that I personally will never not have on hand if I have a newborn again, or these are also the things that I use with both of my two babies, or things I've learned along the way and wish I had used with my first one. My son is actually 3 months old today, so I feel like I just kind of got through the newborn stage and I wanted to do this now while it's fresh on my mind. I was actually very surprised at how much I kind of forgot between the 2.5 years of having my daughter as a newborn and having my son as a newborn. So I wanted to do it now, and I wanted to get through the whole newborn stage so I could tell you guys everything we use from 0 to 3 months. So we're gonna get right into the video, but first, before we do that, make sure that you go hit subscribe on this channel. You're not gonna wanna miss out. I'm gonna do a lot of related content to this coming up. I'm gonna be doing a newborn hacks video. I'm also gonna be doing a toddler essentials video, and then I'm most excited about doing a 1 to 2 children essentials video. So that was kind of a learning curve for me, so I'm excited to share that with you guys in hopes that it will help. And if you are excited about this video and interested in this, just keep watching. Okay, so the first thing I have for you guys today is this Mistela rinse. This stuff is probably my #1 thing. I'm doing this as my first thing because it's the thing I'm most excited about. This will get rid of baby acne in about 2 days. I used it with both my kids. That's when I first found it for my daughter because it was so bad and it was really red and it just looked itchy and uncomfortable, and I obviously wasn't gonna pick on it because you're not supposed to do that, but I didn't want to leave it. It just looked so uncomfortable for her. So I found this and I would put it on a washcloth or a cotton ball and just rub it all over her face. And then I did put like a little face lotion. Mistela has a really good face lotion for her that we use. My son, I use the Honest brand face lotion because it just worked better for his skin, but I use this with both of them. But the other thing that I wanted to say about this is the most fantastic product for diaper rashes or any sort of allergic reaction that your kid could have. It's soothing for whatever reason. It kind of like, I don't know if it changes like the pH levels or what, but it does something and it really works. My daughter had a really bad diaper rash when she was just, I don't know, a month or 2 old. I actually used a different brand of wipes. So she had an allergic reaction and she got a terrible diaper rash on top of it because of that. And I couldn't get it under control. But then I kind of remembered that this had said diaper area on it as well. And so I used this on it and it was gone by the end of that day. And you could tell that she stopped crying the second I put it on there. You could tell it was soothing. So I would just recommend doing this right after, like after you wipe them, put this on there with a washcloth is what I would do, and then I would let it dry for a second and then put the diaper cream on top of it. Definitely get a hold of this stuff. It's fantastic, definitely great to have on hand. The next thing, you guys have probably seen this because it's getting more popular, but I wanted to go ahead and put it on here just in case. The Nose Frida. This is like the snot sucker thing. So you put this part in your mouth, this part goes in their nose. Actually, I'm sorry, not in their nose, and that's the beauty of it. It goes around the nostril, and so it's not very painful. Neither of my kids have really minded it much, and they both hated the bulb syringe because that is kind of uncomfortable for them, and you can only use that a couple of times a day because it can get everything inflamed. So if they're really snotty, you kind of need something like this, but this goes around the hole, and so it kind of creates a suction so it doesn't actually go in, and it gets so much more out. Like, it gets so much out, it's ridiculous. But I would say put some saline in there first. I do this for about 3 seconds on each nostril, which is what it says on here, and then just let that sit for just a couple of seconds, not any time at all, and then suck it right out, and it works like a charm. Also, the next thing I have for you guys is actually an app, and it's called the Wonder Weeks app. I'm gonna insert a picture up here so you can see what I'm talking about. This thing is fantastic. Oh my gosh, such a game changer, because babies get so fussy and they cry, and you'll feel like you get a routine down, and then the next day it's like they're upset again and you're trying to figure out why. This basically breaks it down to where you can kind of pinpoint when their kind of cranky stages are going to be, because it tracks leaps, which is pretty much growth spurts. It's all of the growth spurts that their brain and development and all that stuff is having. So this will show you kind of like actual dates of when to expect your baby to be fussy and cranky and give you a heads up. There is a book on this, but I am recommending the app because you can put your baby's birth date in it, and then that way it can give you an actual date and not just around 5 or 6 weeks old. You know, it actually gives you kind of a date, and you can look on the calendar and see. I remember doing this for my daughter and looking like, okay, so Christmas, is she gonna have a leap? Or Thanksgiving, like you can look all the way down, and it is spot on. I would start realizing with both of them, okay, they're getting so fussy, especially with my son because he's just a chill baby. I'd be like, he's getting so fussy and he's not wanting to sleep, his eating is weird, what is going on with him? And then I would realize, okay, I'm gonna check the calendar. I would look, and sure enough, he's about to start a leap, and there you go. But it goes into so much more information, so definitely check that out. While I am talking about apps, I also wanted to tell you guys about the feeding and diaper app. I would definitely recommend doing that if this is your first newborn. I did this with my daughter and it really helped so much. The one that I used was Baby Tracker, and it's just a very basic one. It just basically has you log when you feed them and when you change their diapers so that you can make sure that they're having enough changes, that they're dirty enough, and that you're feeding them enough. You can kind of get their sleep patterns and things like that. So you can track as much as you want on there. I did it for nursing and for diapers, and I highly, highly, highly recommend doing it if you were breastfeeding your baby for the first time, because it helps so much for even for yourself to kind of realize how you do with it. You can kind of look on there and be able to tell, okay, I fed them 5 times from this period yesterday, and I only fed them 3 times today because they were sleeping more. That's why I feel engorged and I'm gonna have to pump. So things like that, because it's really definitely, it takes a while to kind of figure out your body and your baby, and things change a lot. So if you are nursing for the first time, definitely track it because that will help you so much. And I could do a whole series of videos on nursing. I may actually do that at some point because it was such a huge adjustment. Even though everything worked really well for me, I made enough and my baby's latched really easily, there's so much that you're trying to figure out and think about, and typically you're going to remember for the baby, but maybe not necessarily yourself. So definitely get that app and so you can track it. I didn't feel like I needed it as much with my second kid. I used it for a couple of days and then I was like, I got this. But that was because I'd done it before, so I knew that I needed to watch out for those things. So if this is your first baby, I would recommend doing that. Next thing I recommend is this baby seat. This is for the bath. So it sits upright like this, and then there's a little stopper, and this is where their little booty sits, and then their legs hang out this way, and then their head goes up there. So I use that for my daughter and my son. These are fantastic. They make little baby baths where you can it's just a separate bath and you can put the baby in it and just fill up water that way. But I really recommend doing a seat like this because you don't have to fill much in the bath. Just a few inches just to kind of get a little, like their bottom in it, and that's about all that they need. But this can grow with them. My kid, my son's only 3 months old, so obviously he's still in it, but my daughter was in it for like probably 6 months and just sitting in that really until she was able to sit up fully on her own, and we switched her to something else. She was in that. So the baby bathtubs, they get to the point where they're too long, they're too big. These last for a really long time. I'm not an expert, so any of these things, obviously you guys use your own judgment, but that worked best for me and my kids. The next thing I have is pacifiers. Anyway, I wanted to show you that all pacifiers are not made the same. My daughter loved these Avent Soothie pacifiers, and it's the only thing she would ever take. I couldn't get her to take anything else. She used them until she was 6 months old, and then she just didn't want them anymore, which was actually really great. I didn't have to wean her off of them, but she wouldn't take anything else ever. They're not very cute. So I kind of tried when she was a little older to see if she would take anything else, but no. My son didn't like those. You could tell he kind of wanted a pacifier, but he just didn't hold them in his mouth very well. So I tried this. This is the MAM, M-A-M pacifier, and it's a little straight thing. He loves these. Takes these super great, won't take anything else again. So just, you never know. If something's not working, just try a different brand because babies are very picky on that. But my other thing that goes with it is this pacifier clip. It has a little clip right here, and then you can clip this onto their shirt, their pants, your shirt, and I also put it on the side of like the car seat sometimes if there's hanging out right there. And then this little thing goes through. All of the pacifiers have a little circle like this so you can put it through. But anyway, these things are awesome. So that way, if it falls, it's not gonna fall on the floor and you don't have to wash it 80 million times. So these things are fantastic. The next thing I would recommend is a probiotic if your baby has any sort of tummy issues. Obviously, something like this, you need to consult your pediatrician. I had a different pediatrician for my daughter than with my son at this stage because we've lived in 2 different states. But they both said that this was good. My daughter had really big issues with stomach stuff. She was a colicky baby, and she also had pretty bad acid reflux. She would like projectile vomit almost every time she ate. It was a really big issue, and we honestly didn't get a lot of information as much as I would have hoped from that pediatrician. The one that we have now, I feel like would have given us a lot more info. But anyway, so I did a lot of my own research, and right around 5 months, she still had really bad acid reflux. We started doing these probiotic drops, and I really liked these for her. These are the Mommy Bliss, and they say newborn up, but again, please check with your pediatrician because every baby's different. But this helped tremendously, and this was really the first thing that made it to where she was able to start digesting really easily. And we haven't had any issues since. I know that around then their digestive systems do change as well, and that's why you kind of wait to start solids until around then. So I think it was kind of a combo of both, but I kind of assumed that she would have a lot of food type issues, and she hasn't had any. So I would recommend doing that. One that they recommended was gripe water if it's just kind of an occasional like fussiness, gas type of thing. Also, this works great for hiccups. It gets rid of them in about 2 seconds. It's crazy how fast it works. And my kids could never sleep with the hiccups, and oddly enough, they both get them all the time. So that is a really great deal in our house because if they can't sleep, they've got the hiccups, give them that, and it's like instantly gone. But again, talk to your pediatrician. They actually recommended that for us, for our kids, so definitely something that you should ask them about. And along with the colicky baby, I wanted to mention this noisemaker. This is the Skip Hop. This is actually the travel one, and I do have 2 regular size ones that have they're a little bit more in depth. They're bigger, and they have like little night lights and things like that on them as well. Both of my kids are currently using them because they're both asleep taking a nap. But this thing is awesome. It's got several different sounds. We really only use the, try to see if you guys can hear it. We really only use the white noise one, but it's really great. Colicky babies, it helps soothe them. My daughter, like I said, was really colicky, and that helped soothe her a lot. I don't know what it is about that, but that was recommended to us, and it helped tremendously. So definitely look into that. But I still use it for my son. He's a very chill, very easy, non-colicky baby, but it still helps with sleep. The second I turn that on, he starts getting drowsy, and it's really good if you're away. They can kind of sleep. I feel like it kind of helps them sleep a little bit with noise other than just being so quiet. And remember, when you first have your baby, they're used to hearing all of the rumblings of inside your tummy and your heartbeat and things like that. So it's more comforting to them to have a little bit of noise like that when they first come out, because they're not used to peace and quiet. So if you're having trouble getting them to sleep, definitely try one of those. I really think that's a great one. Another thing that I have is this wipe warmer. Now, some people say that this is just a complete waste of money, and if I had my son first, I probably would have said the same thing because he doesn't really seem to have an issue with it. But my daughter, this really was a huge deal, the wipes being cold, and I don't know if that was because she was colicky and she was just already so uncomfortable that just any sort of cold on her was just too much. But I definitely think it depends on the baby. But if you're having an issue with changing, them, if they cry a lot when you're changing their diaper, I would definitely try a wipe warmer. They're not super expensive. You can get some pretty cheap ones, but she went from having like a terrible time crying hysterically every time we would change her diaper to she was totally fine, just laid there completely calm as can be. So definitely would look into that if you're having issues with diaper changes. Another thing I would recommend is baby hats. I'm going to show you this one. This is a Lulu & Co. It's a more expensive hat. It's kind of that bamboo, silky, spandexy type of thing. And then this is just like from Target type of hat, cotton. And I just wanted to show you the difference because it seriously, if you're gonna invest in something, I would seriously invest in a more expensive hat because it just makes a huge difference. This thing, I actually was kind of scared to put my son in this overnight because he would move his head a lot and it would start coming off, and then it was like kind of around him and I didn't want to do that. But he was so cold. He was definitely a cold-natured baby. He wanted to be as warm as possible and their heat escapes from their heads. So hats are really important, and I recommend this for sure, but I would just look for like a spandexy kind of tight one because they can grow into it and it holds snug around their forehead. I also wanted to mention these little mittens as well. These, I don't feel like you have to get the expensive ones. I think these are Lulu & Co. because they had them on sale. I think they were like $4 or something like that. But these I really liked. I didn't get these with my daughter, and she scratched her face all the time, and trying to clip their nails when they are first born is the hardest thing ever. So I would definitely recommend this, even if just you use it for the first week, just so you don't have to clip their nails immediately, because that is one of the hardest things you will do with a newborn is to try to cut their little nails. It does get easier with each kid though, I will say. You kind of learn little tricks. But anyway, a lot of the sleepers do have the little mittens that you can roll over the cuffs. So I just kind of wanted to show this to point out, make sure that you look for sleepers that have the cuffs, or you get some sort of little glove, or if you're in a pinch, you can use baby socks as well. We have done that before. Next thing I wanted to say was this nursing cover. Get something like this that goes all the way around. I think that this is a Bye Bye Baby. I could be wrong, but this actually goes over here, but this goes all the way around. And the reason I am saying that, I know not everybody likes to cover up, and that's totally fine, more power to you. I personally am a cover up type of person, but the ones that you just kind of throw over your shoulder, if you're a first time mom and you're learning to breastfeed, that is so hard, and it's just, don't do it because it's stressful. And now with my second one, that's not a huge thing. I can do that, it's not a big deal. But with my first one, trying to figure out how to do that while trying to get her to latch because she was learning as well, that's so hard. And it's just unneeded stress. So get one that wraps all the way around. Last but not least, I wanted to mention these swaddles. Yes, that's kind of a basic need that you guys already know, but I didn't realize before I had babies that there are so many different kinds, and babies do not necessarily prefer the same kind as each other's. So I wanted to show you a few different ones that we have used. This is the Lulu & Co. This is just one of those really stretchy ones that you can wrap all the way around. I really liked this in the beginning with my son. I wish that I had this for my daughter. I didn't have a stretchy one. I think I had a muslin and I hated it. She pulled out of it immediately, and it was almost completely pointless that I had it because she was too strong. My son also pulled out of the muslin one, so they're about the same level of strength, I guess. But for whatever reason, the spandex, you can get them so much tighter, and so he did well in that, and he liked his arms down for a little while. My daughter, since I didn't realize they had the stretchy ones, I actually found this little pod thing, and it just zips up, and then they can't push off the folded part, so this helps for a while, but it only comes in about this length. The Woombi does go longer, and that worked for my daughter. She loved that. She wanted her arms glued to her side at all times, and that worked great for her. My son wants his arms up, and so he just kept pulling his arms out the top. He couldn't push it to the side, but after a couple of weeks in this, he was he'd wake up and his hands would be like this. So I was like, okay, that's not working. I also did this one with my daughter. This is like a Velcro. You can stick their little feet in the bottom and wrap it around. This worked for a little while too. Again, did not work with my son because he just pushed his arms straight up because he wanted to go up instead of out to the side. So what we actually found for him and what he is currently in is this Love to Dream. And so it's kind of a little pod one, so it zips up. I actually put a blanket underneath it as well, just kind of like a little little small swaddle, like square swaddle blanket around his waist so it's a little bit warmer, and then zip him up in here, and his little arms go in this part. So head, arms, so he sleeps like this, and he loves it. I just wanted to mention the swaddles so that if your kid is not doing well with the swaddle that you're in, if they're too strong for stuff, there are other options out there because they really do sleep better with the swaddles just because they have that reflex, that I think it's the Moro reflex, where they just kind of startle themselves if they have too much sudden movements. So that can wake them up very easily. But anyway, so that helped quite a bit to find those. Anyway, yeah, so that is my entire list. Okay, so I hope that that helped you guys as much as it has for me, and that it will give you guys at least some good starting points to kind of look into more things for yourself. Also, again, like I said, please subscribe to this channel, help me grow my channel, and I would love to have you aboard. I post motherhood related videos on Fridays, and I post cleaning and organization videos on Mondays. So please subscribe. Also like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below anything that you have used for your newborn. I would love to find out what your tips and tricks are as well. So be sure, or if you have any questions about these products as well. But make sure that you tune in for next time, and I will see you guys later. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. Thanks.